Hey homesteaders, Josh here from The Uncommon Life. Today we're going to talk about making bone broth. Look at that. Liquid gold. Stuff's good, so good. So bone broth is full of all kinds of vitamins and minerals, and you'll see it when you're cooking and you're like pulling out all the vegetables. When you're done, they're brown and kind of and like falling apart. It's because we've leached out all the minerals and vitamins and all the goodness like into the bone broth, and it's really tasty. It gives you a great flavor. What we did is we took all the butts of vegetables that you kind of chop up and throw away, stuff getting close to the end of its life. Basically, you can save this stuff. You can put it in a Ziploc bag, stash it in the deep freeze, and then when you're ready, like when you get enough of it, you just pull it out. And we also save, anytime we cook a turkey, we save the carcass as well. I just throw that this last time, I threw it in a trash bag, tied that up on one end and threw it in the deep freeze, and like that was in there good to go. And so I just pull all that out and I just put it all in this big, like I think it's 22 quarts, I'll have to look it up. I'll put a link in the description below. Super great stock pot. Basically throw it all in that pot with some apple cider vinegar, some water, fill it almost to the top, enough to cover everything that you've put in, which with the turkey carcass is about the size of this thing with the vegetables in there. We bring it to a boil, and then as soon as we get it to a boil, I turn it down to simmer and let it sit. This one I let sit for almost 36 hours. And then strain it. I've got like this big strainer. I put it in this pot here. Makes an awful mess, but I clean it up when I'm done. Once we get it all strained, I actually do a double straining process. So as I'm pouring it out of the crock pot, I put it into the canner actually here. A lot of extra washing because of that. But I have like a fine sieve strainer that I use. Sieve strainer back into the canner pot, and then once it's all kind of strained with a fine strainer, I slowly pour it back in and once I've cleaned out the stock pot, slowly pour it back in there. I do it slowly because you tend to get like a lot of the sediment, like once you've strained it with a fine strainer, you still get little bits of sediment, and so you can kind of see when the liquid is no longer as clear and you're pouring it in. You want to slow down and then just kind of save back a little bit of that kind of gunk at the bottom, and I pitch that myself. Heat it up. I've got some jars here that are heated with hot water, ready to go. Got my lids ready to go. I've actually got some cans in here. We're trying to get the canner up, and so because we're like 678 feet above sea level here in Cincinnati, we have to have it at 11 pounds of pressure and 25 minutes because we're doing the quart jars. So put them in there, get them good to go, and then they'll be good for quite a long time. And there's different ways you can do it too. Like if you're not interested, you can can it. You don't have a canner, that's cool. Like you can just take this stock and boil it and just let it boil and boil and boil, and you'll eventually get this like deep brown syrup almost. And that stuff, because we've made bone broth, it's actually gelatin inside there. I've got some here I can show you. Like it doesn't look super great, but that's basically a bouillon cube, and I just pour that into put some wax paper down on the bottom and pour that in. I think I used aluminum foil last time. And just pour that in and put it in the fridge to cool down. And once it cools, it becomes like almost like a jello material. And then you can cut that up and put it into little Ziploc baggies and put it in the fridge, put it in the freezer. It'll stay good for a long time. And this stuff, like once we can it, should be good for like a year. If you want like primo flavor out of it, I would eat it within a year, but it would likely last longer. Like if you can it properly, it's gonna last even longer than that, right? Because our fridge space, our freezer space, super premium. That's why we're doing the canning here, because we can find, like, we've got a space downstairs that I think I'm gonna set up for our extra canning stuff. Like once things have been canned, they can sit down there ready to go whenever we want them. Just run downstairs and grab them. And we can keep jars up here in the pantry. Like it's way more versatile in the jars. Just got done. Nope. Not feeling that.